After 3 years of marriage, my wife Stella and I finally got the news we had been praying for. She was pregnant with our first child. You have to understand, this was not an easy journey for us. We had faced heartbreak before a miscarriage that nearly broke us both, months of trying with no results, and countless nights wondering if it would ever happen. So when that pregnancy test came back positive, we held each other and cried tears of pure joy. Everything felt perfect. Our families were thrilled, our future seemed bright, and we started dreaming about nursery colors and tiny baby clothes. But then, something strange began to happen. My sister-in-law, Margot, started asking questions. Too many questions. At first, I thought she was just being supportive, but her interest felt different somehow. It felt hungry. I never imagined that something as simple as choosing a name for our baby would turn into an all-out war within our own family. Before we dive into this story, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If you enjoy stories about family drama and sweet revenge, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay with me because what my sister-in-law did next will make your jaw drop, but how my wife handled it, that was pure gold. Stella is the youngest of two sisters. Her older sister, Margot, is 4 years her senior and got married 2 years before we did. Margot married a guy named Derek, a decent enough man who works in insurance and seems to go along with whatever Margot wants. On the surface, the two sisters appeared close. They would text regularly, meet up for brunch occasionally, and post photos together on social media with captions about sisterly love. But I noticed something early on in my relationship with Stella. There was always this undercurrent of competition coming from Margot. It was subtle, at first, little comments, here and there, that seemed innocent enough, but carried a sharp edge. When Stella got promoted to marketing manager at her company, Margot smiled and said, "Congratulations," but then immediately launched into a speech about how she chose family over career and how some people have different priorities. When we bought our first house, a modest 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood, Margot suddenly became obsessed with real estate and convinced Derek they needed to buy something bigger. The pattern became clearer over time. When Stella bought a cherry red SUV that she absolutely loved, Margot showed up 3 months later with the exact same model in the exact same color. She claimed it was just a coincidence that she had been looking at that car for months, but the timing was too perfect. When Stella and I went to Hawaii for our honeymoon, staying at a beautiful resort on Maui, Margot and Derek booked the same resort the following year. Margot posted photos constantly, making sure to tag the location and mention how it was her favorite place in the world, as if she had discovered it herself. I brought these observations up to Stella a few times, but she always brushed them off. "That is just how Margot is," she would say. "She has always been a little competitive. It is not a big deal." I loved my wife for her generous heart and her willingness to see the best in people, especially her own family. But I could not shake the feeling that Margot was not just being competitive. She was actively trying to overshadow Stella at every turn. The pregnancy announcement changed everything. We decided to share the news at a family dinner surrounded by Stella's parents, Margot and Derek. Stella's mother burst into tears the moment we told them. This would be her first grandchild, and she had been waiting years for this moment. Her father stood up and hugged us both, his eyes glistening with emotion. Even Derek seemed genuinely happy, shaking my hand and patting me on the back. But Margot's reaction was different. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. She said, "Congratulations," in a voice that sounded rehearsed, like she was reading from a script. Then, within minutes, she steered the conversation in a new direction. "Well, Derek and I have been trying too," she announced. "So, hopefully, we will have some news of our own soon." The spotlight shifted just like that. Stella squeezed my hand under the table, and I could tell she noticed it too, even if she did not want to admit it. 2 weeks later, Margot called with her own announcement. She was pregnant approximately 6 weeks behind Stella. The family was thrilled about having 2 babies so close together. Cousins who would grow up like siblings, they said. I wanted to be happy about it, I really did. But something about the timing felt off. It was as if Margot had been waiting, planning, determined not to let Stella have this moment alone. What followed was a relentless stream of questions from Margot. Which doctor are you using? What hospital are you delivering at? Where are you buying your maternity clothes? Have you registered anywhere yet? At first, Stella answered openly, happy to share her experience with her sister. But I started to notice that every answer Stella gave would somehow become Margot's answer too. Same doctor, same hospital, same stores. It was like watching someone trace over a drawing, copying every line. The copying intensified as both pregnancies progressed. Stella spent weeks researching nursery designs before settling on a soft sage green color scheme. She loved how calming it looked, how it would work for a boy or a girl, since we had decided to wait to find out the gender. She painted an accent wall herself, arranged floating shelves for books and toys, and hung delicate botanical prints she found at a local art fair. When she posted a few photos online, just sharing her excitement with friends and family, the comments were full of compliments about her beautiful taste. 1 week later, Margot posted her own nursery photos. Sage green walls, floating shelves, botanical prints. The layouts were nearly identical. When someone commented asking if the sisters had coordinated, Margot responded with a laughing emoji and said, "Great minds think alike." Stella did not say anything, but I saw the hurt flicker across her face before she buried it with a forced smile. Then came the stroller incident. Stella had done extensive research, reading reviews, and watching videos for weeks before deciding on an Up-A-Baby model. It was not cheap, but she loved the quality and the features. She ordered it in a charcoal gray color and was so excited when it arrived. She sent photos to the family group chat, talking about how smooth the wheels were and how easy it was to fold. 3 days later, Margot announced she had ordered the exact same stroller, same model, same color. Just a coincidence, she said. Derek found a great deal on it. The yoga class was the final straw before things took an even darker turn. Stella enrolled in a prenatal yoga class at a studio about 20 minutes from our house. She was looking forward to having something that was just hers, a place to relax and connect with other expecting mothers, without the constant presence of Margot. She went to her first class on a Tuesday evening and came home glowing, talking about how wonderful the instructor was and how much she had enjoyed meeting the other women there. The following Tuesday, Stella walked into class and found Margot already there, mat unrolled, sitting right in the front row. She waved enthusiastically and patted the spot next to her. "I thought it would be so fun for us to do this together," Margot said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Sister bonding time." Stella managed a weak smile and took the spot next to her. But when she came home that night, she was quiet and withdrawn. I tried to comfort her, suggesting that maybe Margot just wanted to be close to her during this special time. "Maybe she's just excited about being pregnant at the same time as you," I offered. Stella looked at me with tired eyes. "Maybe," she said, "but it does not feel like excitement. It feels like she's trying to take something from me." I did not know how to respond to that because deep down, I felt the same way. The phone call came on a Thursday evening. Stella and I were on the couch watching a cooking show when her phone rang. It was Margot. I could hear enough of the conversation from my side to piece together what was happening. Margot was asking about baby names. Her voice was bright and eager, peppered with questions that came too fast for Stella to answer. "Have you guys picked out any names yet?" Margot asked. I am so stuck, and I could really use some inspiration. You always have such good taste. Come on, just tell me what you are thinking. We are sisters. I promise I'm not going to steal your names. I just want to make sure we do not accidentally pick the same ones. Can you imagine how awkward that would be? Stella hesitated, glancing at me. We have a few ideas, she said carefully, but we have not made any final decisions yet. Let me think about it, and I will get back to you. After she hung up, I sat up straight and looked at her. You cannot tell her our names, I said. You know what she's going to do with that information. Stella sighed, running a hand over her growing belly. She is my sister. Maybe I should give her the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to argue, to point out the pattern of behavior that was so clearly visible to me, but I could see how much she wanted to believe in her sister. So I let it go, hoping I was wrong. I was not wrong. The proof came from the most unexpected source, Derek himself. I ran into him at a coffee shop near my office, about a week after that phone call. He was grabbing a drink before heading to a meeting and seemed happy enough to chat for a few minutes. We made small talk about work and the weather and the upcoming babies. Then, almost casually, Derek said something that made my blood run cold. Margot has been going crazy over baby names lately, he said, shaking his head with a tired laugh. She stays up past midnight, looking at baby name websites and making lists. She keeps saying she wants to announce their names first so nobody can say she copied. Between you and me, I think she is more worried about what Stella picks than about what she actually likes. Derek did not seem to realize the significance of what he had just revealed. He kept talking about how exhausting Margot had been lately, how she was obsessed with making everything perfect, how competitive she had become about every aspect of the pregnancy. But I had stopped listening. My mind was racing. When I got home that evening, I sat Stella down and told her everything Derek had said. I watched her face as the realization hit her, the understanding that her sister was not just being competitive or annoying. Margot was actively scheming to take something from her to steal the names she and I had carefully chosen for our child. Stella was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. I wanted to believe she was different, she said. I wanted to believe that becoming mothers together would bring us closer, but she has never been happy for me. Not really, not once. It was painful to watch my wife confront this truth about her own sister. But I also saw something else in her eyes that night, a spark of determination. Margot wanted to play games fine. Stella was ready to play. The confrontation happened at Stella's baby shower. Her mother had organized the event at a local event hall, decorating it beautifully with flowers and balloons and a dessert table that must have taken days to prepare. Friends and family gathered to celebrate, bringing gifts and well wishes and enough tiny onesies to dress an army of babies. Stella looked radiant, her bump now prominently showing beneath a soft blue dress. Margot arrived late as usual, making sure everyone noticed her entrance. She was wearing a form-fitting dress that showed off her own bump, her hair freshly done, her makeup flawless. She greeted everyone with exaggerated hugs and loud exclamations about how exciting everything was. But her attention kept drifting to Stella, watching her tracking her movements across the room. Midway through the party, Margot cornered Stella near the gift table. I was close enough to overhear, but pretended to be focused on my phone. Margot's voice was low but insistent. "Look," she said, "I know you have already picked out your baby names. Just tell me what they are so we can avoid any awkward situations. I am due before you anyway, so it makes sense for me to finalize my choices first. That way, there is no overlap." I watched Stella's face as she processed the sheer audacity of what her sister was saying. Margot was not even pretending anymore. She was openly admitting that she wanted to know Stella's names so she could use them first. The mask had slipped completely. Stella took a breath. "Let me think about it," she said calmly. "I will let you know." That night after the shower, Stella and I sat at our kitchen table and made a plan. She was hurt, deeply hurt, by what Margot had revealed about herself. But beneath that hurt was a steely resolve I had always admired in my wife. "She wants our names so badly," Stella said. "Then let us give her some names." We spent the next hour crafting our trap. We chose 2 fake names that sounded exactly like the kind of trendy, unique names Margot would gravitate toward. For a girl, Brinley. For a boy, Jackson. Both spelled with creative twists that we knew Margot would find irresistible. Both completely different from the names we had actually chosen, because we had known our real names for months. If our baby was a girl, she would be named Elise, after Stella's grandmother, who had passed away the year before. It was a name filled with love and memory, a tribute to a woman who had shaped so much of who Stella had become. If our baby was a boy, he would be James, after my grandfather, who had raised me when my own parents struggled. These were names with meaning, with history, with heart. Names we would never share with someone who only wanted to steal them. The next day, Stella called Margot. I sat beside her listening as she put on a performance worthy of an Oscar. "Okay," Stella said, her voice hesitant and shy, as if she was reluctantly sharing a precious secret. "I have been thinking about it, and I guess I can tell you. But please, please do not tell anyone else. These names are so special to us." "Of course," Margot said, her voice dripping with false sincerity. "I would never." Stella took a dramatic pause. "If it is a girl, we are naming her Brinley, and if it is a boy, Jackson. We found them on this rare baby name website, and we just fell in love with them." The excitement in Margot's voice was barely contained. "Oh, wow," she said. "Those are so unique, so different. I love them. Thank you for trusting me with this." After Stella hung up, we looked at each other and waited. We both knew it would not be long. 3 weeks later, Margot and Derek hosted their gender reveal party. They were having a girl, which was revealed through a cascade of pink confetti that Margot had clearly spent a fortune on. The party was over the top with custom decorations and a photographer and a 3-tiered cake. But the real announcement came at the end. Margot gathered everyone's attention, her eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on Stella. "And now," she said dramatically, "we want to share the name we have chosen for our daughter. We are going to call her Brinley." There were murmurs of approval from the crowd. "What a unique name. So pretty, so different." Margot basked in the attention, her smile wide and triumphant. And then she looked directly at Stella with an expression of pure victory, as if she had just won a prize that Stella had desperately wanted. Stella smiled back, and I saw the corners of her mouth twitch with suppressed laughter. She squeezed my hand, and I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from grinning. 1 month later, our daughter was born. She arrived on a sunny Thursday morning, 7 pounds and 4 ounces of pure perfection. Stella was exhausted, but glowing, holding our baby girl against her chest, with tears streaming down her face. I had never loved her more than I did in that moment. The family came to visit that afternoon. Stella's parents arrived first, followed by a few close friends, and finally Margot and Derek. Margot swept into the room with a bouquet of flowers and a gift bag, her eyes immediately going to the baby. "She is beautiful," Margot said, her voice strangely tight. "What did you decide to name her?" Stella looked at me and I nodded. This was the moment we had been waiting for. "We named her Elise," Stella said. "After Grandma." The room fell silent. Stella's mother let out a sob, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh, honey," she whispered, "that is the most beautiful tribute. Your grandmother would have been so honored." "But Margot." Margot stood frozen, her face cycling through confusion, realization, and then a deep, burning red of humiliation. But she stammered. "But you said. You told me you were naming her Brinley." Stella tilted her head slightly, her expression innocent, but her eyes sharp. "I said we were considering some names. I never said that was our final choice. We always knew we would name her after Grandma. That was decided months ago." The truth hit Margot like a physical blow. She looked around the room at the faces of family members who were now putting the pieces together. Derek had gone pale, probably remembering his own careless words at the coffee shop. Margot's mother was looking at her eldest daughter with a new troubled expression, as if seeing her clearly for the first time. Margot made an excuse and left early, mumbling something about not feeling well. That night, Stella received a series of text messages that grew increasingly hostile. Margot accused her of lying, of manipulation, of deliberately trying to humiliate her in front of the family. She called Stella cruel and vindictive and said that Stella had destroyed their relationship over something as petty as a baby name. Stella read the messages once, showed them to me, and then blocked Margot's number. She did not respond. She did not defend herself. She simply closed the door on a relationship that had been poisoning her for years. In the days that followed, the rest of the family learned the full story. Derek, whether out of guilt or frustration, told his mother-in-law about Margot's obsessive planning, her determination to announce first her explicit goal of taking whatever names Stella had chosen. Stella's parents were shocked and heartbroken to realize how deep Margot's jealousy ran. Her father called to apologize for not seeing it sooner. Her mother cried and said she wished she had paid more attention to the dynamics between her daughters. The first few months were hard for Stella. Despite everything, Margot was still her sister. Losing that relationship, even a toxic one, left a void that took time to heal. There were nights when Stella would lie awake, wondering if she had done the right thing, questioning whether she should have handled things differently. But as time passed, something shifted. Without the constant pressure of Margot's competition, Stella began to flourish in ways I had never seen before. She was more relaxed, more confident, more present. She threw herself into motherhood with joy and enthusiasm, cherishing every moment with baby Elise without worrying about who was watching or comparing. She reconnected with old friends she had neglected, started a small side business, selling handmade jewelry, and rediscovered hobbies she had abandoned years ago. One evening, about 6 months after Elise was born, Stella looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I spent so many years trying to make her happy," she said. Trying to avoid making her jealous, shrinking myself so she would not feel threatened. I did not even realize how much space that was taking up in my life until it was gone. A year after everything happened, Margot reached out. She sent a long email apologizing for her behavior, acknowledging that she had been jealous and competitive and unfair. She said she had been going to therapy and was working on understanding why she had felt such a strong need to compete with her younger sister. She asked if Stella would be willing to try to rebuild their relationship. Stella thought about it for a long time. In the end, she wrote back a kind but honest response. She accepted Margot's apology and wished her well in her journey of self-improvement. But she also made clear that things could not go back to the way they were. She would be cordial at family events. She would not hold grudges, but she was no longer willing to share the intimate details of her life with someone who had proven she could not be trusted with them. It was not a fairy tale ending. There was no tearful reunion, no dramatic reconciliation. But there was peace. Stella had protected herself and her family, and she had done it without cruelty or vengeance. She had simply refused to keep playing a game she had never wanted to be part of. I learned something important through all of this. Family is not just about blood. It is about who shows up for you with genuine love, not competition. It is about who celebrates your joys instead of trying to steal them. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop letting toxic people hurt you just because they share your DNA. Little Elise is 2 now. She has her mother's eyes and her great-grandmother's name and a whole lifetime of adventures ahead of her. And she will grow up knowing that her worth is not determined by comparison to anyone else, that her accomplishments belong to her alone, and that the people who truly love her will cheer for her success instead of trying to take it for themselves. If you have ever dealt with a jealous family member who tried to copy you or compete with you, I would love to hear your story in the comments below. How did you handle it? Did you ever have to set boundaries with someone you loved? Drop a comment and let us know. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you are not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this story reminded you that you deserve people in your life who celebrate you, not compete with you. Take care of yourselves, protect your peace, and remember that sometimes the best revenge is simply living well.